Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in this world. This is Hajin Lee, and I want to share with you some video update of Ethereum. Quite often I would combine pattern analysis as well as Elliott waves. To begin with the pattern, I'm just going to draw some trend lines. So if I can say I have an upper trend line across the peaks, and then draw approximate lower trend line. This is very interesting because when price moves in an impulsive sequence and in Elliott waves, an impulse moves in 5 sequences. In this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What is interesting is that price thus far has stayed within this channel, except for a few temporary pokes above and below. So if this supposedly is traveling within an impulse, I think it would be very interesting to see that price basically bounces off the lower trendline support, and thereby, instead of having 3 and 4 and 5 here, the prospect of having 3 and wave 4 currently completing would be given a good probability, a probable scenario. In other words, what from an initial onset one might have thought that 5 waves are in, it's rather probably likely premature to say that the impulse has ended. Most especially because, as stated, price is well within the channel. Thereby, if we can move and extend the positioning of the waves 3, 4, and 5, that would mean that this impulse sequence, which began in December of 2018 as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, is not yet complete. Thereby, this being a requisite correction was a requisite correction because the 5 subwaves of the yellow 3 were positioned like so. You can clearly count 1, 2, 3, ABC, 4. This was an expanded ABC, and then 5. And after these white 5 waves, you get the requisite correction. And that requisite correction is, in this scenario, an ABC. So if that's the case, the implication that we are looking at right now is that we will see a good potential, probable potential, that we are likely to see an impulse wave which will become the subwaves of this yellow 5. So it would look like this. That once we have likely wave 1 in, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We may see this wave 3 of yellow 5 putting in some potential nice vertical violent orgasmic upward lunges in price. Basically, see multiple series of violently moving wave 3 action. In other words, the green candle bars. Volume will also increase, because this will be wave 3 of the yellow 5. Thereby, one condition of this scenario is that the lower support must hold. When you get these kind of temporary peaks of the upper trend line, it's a bearish piercing. Thereby you get a bearish outcome. In this case, we saw temporary piercing of the lower support line. That is often called a bullish piercing, which could lead to this sizable price action move to the upside. The caveat and the condition being that the lower support line must hold. If we get a decisive break of that lower support of the lower support line, this scenario becomes pretty much invalidated. But what has been impressive is that since July 15th to today, approximately 16, 17 days, this has held. That provides additional credence to the potential of this upside scenario. So I hope you find this to be helpful. Because on hedging.com, the Ethereum analysis is provided on a regular basis, while the Bitcoin analysis is provided daily, even on Saturday and Sundays. We go by primary counts and establish alternate counts, and we review these daily, pretty much, to ask as many what-if scenario type of questions, to profile those what-if type of scenarios, and see if we can come up with additional, more compelling, probable-based compelling scenarios that could replace the current primary count. And this process enables a greater girth of awareness, because trading is fully based on probabilities, never on certainties. Have a good night.